Today, I'm going to share with you some actionable steps and activities that if you apply these to your sales presentation and system, you're going to get less objections when it comes time to close, which will inadvertently turn into a much higher closing ratio and can actually be the deciding factor that takes you from being maybe an average kind of struggling life insurance agent to becoming a super final expense life insurance sales producer. And just so you understand, I'm not just some schlub that makes YouTube videos. I'm actually an award-winning life insurance agent with actual accolades and achievements that include being the #1 final expense producer with 5-star life insurance company and also the #1 producer for Security National Life 3 years in a row. When I first started doing the stuff that we're going to be going over today, I went from being, well, a below average, pretty terrible agent to actually being the #1 agent at the agency that I worked at the time. And this change pretty much happened, well, overnight. And at that point, I went on to eventually become a big shot super producer. These were changes that I made and did internally and for myself. The first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about client intent and lead quality. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you've seen me talk about the calendar appointment lead where the client fills out a lead form and then sets an appointment on the agent's calendar to speak with the agent about getting a quote for affordable life insurance. And then the client replies to a text message verifying the appointment. This is the most viable lead option for independent agents who expect a higher intent and higher quality lead, as you can go out and actually purchase one of these done for you systems that will generate these type of appointments, which is what we do at my agency. So when an agent tells me, hey Doug, I want 30 appointments per day, with a good calendar appointment system like ours, I'm able to say, hey, no problem. If you want an average of 30, maybe 40, heck, you want 50 per day, I can make that happen. Point is, the very first thing that you want to do if you want to get less objections and more sales is stop working crappy leads. Use the highest intent lead that you can get your hands on. Now, before I get into the applicable things, that I mentioned earlier that you're gonna wanna do, that I did, which made me go from, well, 0 to hero, I wanna share a story with you about mindset. Last year, I got a voicemail from an agent. This specific insurance agent was calling to get more information on the appointments platform that I just mentioned. The problem, well, that I had with this message was with what the agent said, what was in the message. He wanted to know if the people who were setting an appointment were setting an appointment to buy the insurance or if they were, as he said, just setting an appointment to get a quote for the insurance. Yeah, I just deleted the message and I didn't waste my valuable time returning his call. Well, here's why. He was broken. The message that he left let me know that his mindset was that of a consumer and not that of a professional salesperson. It was obvious to me that this guy was a complete failure at sales, and instead of trying to figure out what he was doing wrong, he blamed his failure on the leads that he had been working. Now, how do I know all of this based on that little message that he left? Guys, I've worked with and trained literally hundreds of agents and have seen this over and over and over again with field agents. Here's the point of the story. If you want to increase your closing percentage and get fewer objections and have more people who just pick an option, sign on the dotted line, and then hand you the check, you're going to have to do some work on yourself. If you're like most people, you're going to need to stop thinking like a consumer and start behaving like a sales producer. One of the things that I did that made my sales numbers increase like overnight was I listened to a recording of myself making a live face-to-face presentation to a live potential client who inadvertently absolutely needed the insurance, and yet she did not buy it from me. This was a single lady with a newborn baby and a brand new mortgage. The easiest person to sell life insurance in the world to. Like, she needed the insurance more than anyone, and I couldn't close her. She just did not trust me enough to buy from me. And here's why. When I listened to that recording, I sounded hesitant, unsure, even worse, monotone and boring as hell. So I made up my mind that at my next appointment, I would act excited and enthusiastic, and instead of boring them to death, I decided enough was enough. It's time to put on a show, a real performance. I went from being boring and monotone to the extreme opposite, like energetic and enthusiastic, literally overnight. And guess what? It worked again and again, over and over, presentation after presentation. And when I walked out of those houses with a check in my hand, I was exhausted, like I did my work. I was worn out. It was nap time. First, listen to a recording of yourself. Second, make changes immediately. Use a lot of energy and enthusiasm. You got nothing to lose at this point and everything to gain. Third, whether you're selling insurance over the phone or on a belly-to-belly basis, sit up straight. Make sure that you've got a big smile on your face, and whatever you do, speak as if we are doing this today. I'm not here to waste my time giving out quotes like a customer service rep. Behave like a professional salesperson who actually values their time. NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Pick up a book on NLP, practice the basic principles, then get another book and do more work on yourself so that you can actually be the best that you can be. Pick up The Way of the Wolf, make it your handbook for life. Master the art of persuasion and influence, and work on yourself. Work on your tonality to gain success in your sales business. When I speak with insurance agents who are interested in working with me, to sell through our remote final expense sales platform, I gotta decide if this agent is gonna just waste his or her time and my time, or if they'll actually be capable of selling the insurance. Which is where I bring up the floor. The floor is what I refer to as the bare minimum needed, necessary, mandatory for success. 1, do you sound smooth and professional while making your sales presentation? Guys, if not, then you are not on the floor. You are not capable of closing a sale of someone who wants to buy the insurance, like the easiest laydown sale in the world. 2, are you good with basic technology? Now, here's the thing, guys. If you don't have the ability to use a computer and understand every aspect of the programs on your computer, really know what's going on, and how to use a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, you are not yet at the bare minimum floor. Number 3, if you're selling insurance over the phone, remotely, you must be comfortable with multitasking. Thing is, if you can't hold a conversation with your prospect while you're doing field underwriting and maybe looking up carrier pricing, which leads to filling out the application all at the same time, you are not on the floor. And you are not ready to be successful at insurance sales. If you fumble and bumble throughout your presentation and or the sales process, the client's gonna know that you're not a pro. And not only will you get a lot of excuses and objections, but you're likely going to have people just hanging up on you. You're not on the floor. Do the work that it takes to get yourself on that basic floor level. And as you get better over time and start gaining some talent, that's when you're going to go from just getting by to seeing the kind of success that you've been looking for. Work the best leads you can get your hands on and make sure to use energy, excitement, and enthusiasm throughout your entire presentation. Not just at the beginning, not just during the close, but through the whole thing. And at the end of the day, for those clients who still give you an objection, simply do what Jordan Belfort talks about in his book, which in my opinion is accepting objections as part of the application process. You got to use the prospect's objection as an opportunity to build value in that product and accept that the objections are simply part of the application process. Build trust with the client, and you're going to see that some of your best sales are going to come from people who actually give you a couple of objections. For a copy of the pricing page and the thank you note, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com for more information on our remote final expense sales platform where, you can get 20 to 30 plus appointments on average per day. Just shoot me an email at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now, get out there or get on that headset, whatever you do. Make sure that you do something good for someone else today. Happy hunting.